Hi, pros and partners out there. I'm Juliana Lee, your intercultural communication expert. In this video, I'm going to explain the top 5 behaviors of Koreans that may bother you. Number 1. In Korea, strangers may push you and touch you and don't seem to be bothered by that at all. Often in a limited space, like inside an elevator and a crowded streets, Koreans may push you behind and touch your shoulder as they pass by. What may bother you is that they don't say "excuse me" or "실례합니다" in Korean to let you know ahead. So you may feel like they're crossing the line, and sometimes, if you are super sensitive, you may feel as though they are getting on your nerves. It's a bit ironic that many books of Korean don'ts and do's also include this personal touch to be avoided. I guess strangers may not count in this aspect, so don't feel too bad if next time you are in a crowded bus or subway or even on a street if Koreans push you or touch you on the go. Don't take it too personal, but if the pushing continues unnecessarily, look at that person in the eye and say, "Excuse me?" Then he or she either will say, "I'm sorry," or "stop pushing you." Number 2, lots of Korean dishes are shared types, not served individually. Even when you order a separate item, in most restaurants, side dishes and main soup or stew are shared by the number of people in your table. So if you are more used to having your own plate separately, this sharing food culture may put you uncomfortable. It's not uncommon, even in a Western-style restaurant, people order and share several dishes together instead of ordering one dish per person. In that case, just ask for serving plates or 앞접시 in Korean and scoops to share the food more nicely. Number 3, if you are a pedestrian, be extra careful in Korea. Unlike car and pedestrian culture in North America and some parts of Europe, where vehicles almost always stop and give pedestrians the right of way, in Korea, that's not the case. You cannot expect cars to stop even in side streets. Of course, you cannot jaywalk, but in small alleyways where there are no crosswalks or lights, it's totally up to the pedestrian to be aware of vehicles around. When crossing a street, make sure that cars are a safe distance away. It's very common for vehicles to pass a walking pedestrian with a barely inches to spare if they feel they can squeeze by. So, wherever you are, if you are walking on the street, be very careful with cars. You don't have to worry about guns and violence in streets of Seoul, but yeah, you may get hit and injured by vehicles. And number 4, asking right away, "How old are you?" This may not be the case in a professional setting, but when you meet Koreans in a more personal setting, soon they will ask how old you are. Depending on where you're from, this may not be that shocking in your culture. But if you're coming from where ages don't really matter in friendship or at work, this immediate question of "how old are you?" may be bothersome. Like in many hierarchical cultures, including Korea, age represents seniority. And since also Korean language has several layers of honorifics, and even your nonverbal behaviors may change depending on the age of the person you're talking to. So I guess this question has become almost mandatory to create rapport. And number 5, Koreans communicate indirectly. So their yes may not mean yes, and they rarely say no. There's often a reluctance to give a direct answer of no. So instead, many Koreans will find an indirect way of doing so. For example, they may impose conditions that make the deal impossible for the other party to accept. Rather than rejecting an invitation, they may keep putting it off which is an indirect no, or they may simply not show up, expecting that you'd have understood that they never intended to come anyway. Sucking in air through your teeth, is one way to signal a definite answer of no. A look-up response, such as maybe, may also be used to express a no answer. On the other hand, a yes answer should not always be taken literally. Korean yes could also mean, I understand, or I will try and do my best, as opposed to the Western, I agree, or I'll do it. As people avoid saying no, yes often means, if it's possible, I'll do it. Koreans often acknowledge what they hear by saying yes, or nodding the head like this to indicate, I get it, or go ahead. Some Koreans may give a positive answer to save others' face. They may also use expressions like, I will think about it. Well, that would be difficult, instead of saying no. So that's it. You may have already noticed those 5 behaviors living in Korea. I hope my tips today have helped you understand the Korean culture better and help you survive and thrive in Korea. Thank you for watching.